So I hope you've listened to the recording of this piece that we've now got in front of us. This is the Chopin Nocturne in B major, Opus 32, number 1. Chopin, of course, is very well known for writing sumptuous melodies. And I guess the purpose of this exercise is just to show you that they still obey those three essential principles that I discussed in the last video with something as banal as Happy Birthday to You. So let's have a quick look. Have a quick look yourself and try and work out how many different ideas Chopin is using. Maybe you want to pause the video and just go through and say, well, how many variations to the same melodic figure does he actually use in the course of this melody? So pause and try to come up with your own answer, and then restart, and I'll give you my version. So this is what I think. I think that there are just two ideas. There's this initial melodic figure, then there's an absolute repetition of that, but elaborated, varied, as you can see with some of these things. Then there is the same idea, but here again we've got an inversion. You see that it's the same rhythmic idea, but whereas this one steps up and then comes down with the dotted figure, then steps up again, this one steps down, comes up, and steps down again. So that's an inversion. The end's different, of course. A and A1 both finish with this little flourish idea, whereas this one moves in a completely different direction. And of course, this sort of analysis is ultimately subjective. We are human observers finding connections, similarities, differences. But I think you can see that there's enough continuity between the first three gestures to call them the same thing. And then we find to finish off with what I've identified as something completely different, mainly because of this syncopated rhythm there. It's not quite like anything else. So there's my version of the repetition or new material question. That is one of the key issues that you have to address in terms of writing a nice melody. Keep reusing the same material but varied. Don't keep trying to think up new little melodic shapes, because that leads to incoherence. Now let's look at the overall melodic shape as we did for Happy Birthday. I'll sketch in what I think is going on. First thing that happens is there's this upwards gesture, and that's immediately repeated, although this A1 is a variation that's got the same basic melodic structure. Then A2 comes down, whereas B goes up and down a little bit. That notion of coming down toward the end of a melody to create a sense of closure or conclusion is really quite important. Many melodies do that. Only rarely do melodies ascend to finish. So usually what happens in the course of a melody is that there is an upwards motion followed at the end by a downwards motion, although that's a very broad generalization, and there's all sorts of variation possible within it. But as a general rule for your melody writing, if you follow that basic contour, you can't go too wrong. The last part of the exercise then is to work out how does the harmony work. The melody has to be consonant with harmony, and that can be as simple as saying this first chord is chord 1, B major chord in the key of B major, so the melody has to start with and hang around on notes that are consonant with the B major triad. Let's see how many times Chopin uses chord 1 in the course of this melody. So I'll put them in. Of the 15 chords that Chopin uses, fully 6 of them are chord 1. Similarly with chord 5, there are 5 chord 5s, so the overwhelming majority of the chords used are 1 and 5, even in something as harmonically complex as Chopin. And then there are a few very interesting chords that I'll just put in for those of you who are interested in what these other ones are. So there they are. Chord 7 going to chord 3, looks unusual, but it's just a dominant tonic progression, A sharp major 7 to D sharp minor, then chord 2, chord 4, both in first inversion.